Acharya Vivek Gupta, a contemporary spiritual teacher whose unique blend of formal monastic training and real-life experience help individuals of all ages find purpose and independence. From weekly courses and international retreats to workshops, podcasts, and a robust online presence, Acharya Vivek's message of introspection and resilience resonate across the globe. He has authored 2 books and leads the widely appreciated daily sessions called Meaningful Mornings, where he distills ancient wisdom into practical advice for modern living. As the spiritual guide of Chinmaya Mission, Niagara Falls in Canada, he is skillfully bridges traditional Vedantic teaching with everyday life. Acharya Vivek's dynamism extends further. He has founded centers in London, Cleveland, and supports Chinmaya Mission's efforts in Albania and Pittsburgh. His compassionate leadership, unwavering commitment, and uplifting message continue to inspire countless students and seekers worldwide, exemplifying the transformative power of introspection and dedicated to spiritual practices. So, ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together to welcome Acharya.
Acharya Shankara has shared. Mada is Pujaniya Bhava, where you have an exaggerated sense of self. That's what this video is. In United Consciousness, the seva that I focus on, the facet that I tend to the most, is called UC Global Youth, United Consciousness Global Youth. And the reason for this is that Vikrant, Rajesh, Sukhdev, myself, everyone is getting older. You see all these white hairs in my sideburns. So that's called a Yamaduta. Death is calling. And so a great focus of ours, and really it should be for all humans, especially those who care for Sanatana Dharma, that focus should be on a succession plan. In America particularly, there's many lovely mandirs, there's many lovely organizations. But if you fast forward 10 years, 20 years, a generation, let's say of 30 years, who's going to lead and populate those mandirs, those organizations, including United Consciousness? We're not immune to there not being a succession plan. So this is what I focus on, global youth. Our team is made up of myself as an advisor, and in no particular order, you're going to meet Daksha, who's from New Jersey. Tanisha's from Indore. Aditya from New York. He's actually getting married right now while this conference is happening. Then Samya from Albany. Shaurya, who's also from Indore. Shivam is from Indore, and Shaurya, who's from Ujjain. So in this conference, I'm here, Daksha's here, Tanisha's here, and Shaurya may join us. Okay, this is our global youth team, which we're looking to grow, and Daksha and Tanisha will speak more to that. This workshop was to start at 2:20 and finish at 3:20, and already we're losing time fast. So I'm just going to introduce what this workshop is going to focus on, and that is trust and teamwork. Trust and teamwork. The hardest part of anyone's day is working with people, living with people. Agreed? As someone who's organized many pilgrimages, the organizing part is easy, the yatris are not. So that's why trust and teamwork is important. And so I'm going to share with you a very practical and emotionally significant framework relating to resilience. Sociologists have discovered that the 3 ways to develop resilience, physical resilience, emotional resilience, those 3 ways are What's number one? Yes. What's the first step in developing resilience? Exercise. The more we're in nature, the more we feel natural. But that's for our physical body. Deeper than that is our mental body. And I share that because sometimes when so much emphasis is given to the body, I've heard some speakers share about that, there's no time for the mind. And that's not helpful. So the second way to develop resilience, would anyone like to guess? Satsang, endurance, yes, yes. Examples. When you have examples of those who are tough, examples of those who are generous, you feel you can do it too. Exercise, examples. And here's number 3, which we're all doing right now. It is ethics. When I have a value system that time is important, then what will I be? Punctual. But if I don't have that value system, I'm not going to be punctual. So the ethics that I have my responsibilities, I should follow through with them. I'm rewinding and then passing this on to our global youth team. My name is Vivek. I'm one of the informal founders of United Consciousness. Within our team, I focus on our succession plan. Who's going to be part of the United Consciousness Steering Committee in 2025, 2026, and so on. Our team is made up of seekers from around the world. I missed Shifali from Canada. We have seekers from America, seekers from Bharat. Our workshop, which is going to start right now, is on trust and teamwork. Through trust and teamwork, we develop a resilience at a physical, mental, and intellectual level. So this is very important for the micro and the macro. With this introduction, I'm actively inviting Daksha, who's joining us from Princeton, New Jersey, and Tanisha, who's joining us from Indore, Madhya Pradesh. These deities are very sattvic. These deities are very smart too, and you'll get to experience that. As they facilitate this workshop, I'm encouraging you, I'm requesting you, be active. Be active in your listening, in your thinking, in your participating.
Hi everyone, my name is Daksha, as Vivek explained, and today we're going to start off with an activity regarding trust and teamwork. So I'm going to ask all of you to stand up. Okay, so I have a bit of a challenge for you. You are all seated in rows, right? So my challenge to you is organize yourself from youngest to oldest without talking. You have to find some other way of communication, whether it be writing it down, gestures, something else. Okay? And I'll leave you all to it. Try to organize yourselves.
I'll judge. Everyone in the room. I told you, you have to participate. Everyone has to organize themselves.
You only have 5 minutes to do so. I'll give you guys another 2 more minutes, okay? Finalize your decisions.
Hey, no mouthing. That's the same.
Yes, Melvin counts as talking. Are these your final answers? Any more adjustments? We'll give it another minute.
Daksha, are you auditing? Are we going to ask them that?
Yeah, we can start. Okay, so now that you did this activity, how accurate do you guys think you were? You can shout it out. 99.8%. Okay, so let me ask you a question, okay? What were some of the challenges you faced in doing this activity in such a short amount of time?
Revealing the age didn't understand.
How so?
We didn't just
Yeah.
not know each other. Asking people to be together, like in a row.
Yeah. Okay.
That was
So,
quite difficult.
so what were your solutions to this problem?
Using sign language.
Sign language. Okay. What else?
Gestures,
Gestures.
expressions.
Expressions. Yeah. Anything else?
I wrote on my phone.
On your phone? That's a good idea. Okay, so as we can see, there are other forms of communication that aren't just verbal. So this goes to show there are multiple ways to express how we feel to another person, regardless of just words. We could write, our gestures say a lot more than we think, our expressions say a lot more than we think, and so on. So the purpose of this activity was to show you different ways of teamwork and collaboration when you don't have something that's readily available to you. So you have to express another means to do so. So now we're going to get into a brief debrief about this topic and what we just discussed. You guys can all sit down. I'm going to hand it over to Tanisha to start off our debrief.
You see, while we were conducting this activity, communication played a very crucial role, along with teamwork and trust. See, trust and teamwork are two pillars of youth development. And without trust, teamwork falls apart. And without teamwork, even the most talented individuals cannot achieve greatness.
Yeah, so as Tanisha said, just adding on, we often have to explore means of communication that often don't match what we immediately think. Other people live different lives than us, so we might have to find different ways of expressing ourselves, ones that we might not normally think of. So the lesson of this is we have to be adaptive. Our main mission should be teamwork and collaboration, otherwise nothing is going to end up happening as a result, and in fact, negative things might end up happening. So we have to be sure to communicate throughout whatever we do, and also enact teamwork in whatever we do as well. So, Shaurya.
Hello. Okay, so first of all, when we talk about teamwork, we have to talk about communication. So I think the first thing which should be when we talk about teamwork is communication. The communication should be clear, it should be coherent, it should be courteous, and first of all, it should be correct. After communication, we have many other things, which is, there should be a connection between the two guys who are in the team. You should know others' faults and others' strengths also. So these are some things and the third thing which we have to, inculcate in us is acceptance. Accept our teammates how they are and work what we can do from them. Thank you.
You see, when we talk about a team, think about a team where trust is not there. Communication becomes difficult, right? When we were doing that activity and you guys could not talk to each other, communication was a barrier. It was, right? So people second guess each other, they don't know what they're doing, miscommunication is there, confidence is very low, which is the most important thing. So for that, we need trust. Trust brings collaboration. Trust brings confidence in people. I would like to hand over the mic to Daksha.
Yes. So as Tanisha said, we have to be sure to emphasize these traits in our daily lives, otherwise we risk miscommunication and other issues occurring. So let's move on to the next thing.
But Daksha, I thought we were supposed to be doing a different activity. Weren't we supposed to do human knot activity instead of this rearranging activity?
talking about? We literally got rid of that activity like a month ago in a meeting.
No, it was not discussed clearly.
Yes, it was. You were there.
It was not clear.
It's not my fault you're not listening.
Activity.
It's not my fault you weren't listening, Tanisha.
For your information, I was listening, but this vital information was not clear.
Pause. Okay. Alright.
So what you all guys saw here is a miscommunication. One is saying that I got it right, one is saying that I got it right. But the reality is, these are the flaws of a team. What is happening is, one is not understanding the problems of other, and the other guy is not understanding the problem of third. So what we have to do is we have to communicate on a common platform, and we have to make the language so simple that everyone should understand it completely and clearly.
Play.
You know, Tanisha, I think it might be a good idea for us to improv what we say, so that way we can tailor it to whatever audience we have.
See, Daksha, I think it would be better if we had something planned before. Since English is not my first language, so that can be a little hard to do.
Well, Tanisha, that's not really my problem. This is easier for me, so I think that's what we should do.
Okay, maybe then we should do this in Hindi, and then we should be spontaneous if that's what you want.
You literally know I don't speak Hindi. What are you talking about?
That's not my problem. Figure it out.
Stop. Okay.
So what is happening here is basically, there is a cultural problem. What is happening? Daksha is, accepting that I will speak spontaneous, and Tanisha is saying that no, I will prepare and then I will do. What is happening here is a language barrier. What is happening? Daksha can speak spontaneous English because her first choice of, her mother tongue is English. But when we talk about Tanisha, her mother tongue is Hindi. So what is happening? There is a bit of conflict between these two. And what they have to do right now, can anybody tell? Is anybody interested? Like what they can do to solve this problem right now? Anybody? Yes, please.
Written communication.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Any other points? Yes. So these are some, the solutions which can be done to, solve this very simple problem, but it is a very deep impact on the okay.
Play.
You know, Tanisha, I memorized a script that you prepared a long time ago. I'm sorry for being so insistent.
What? No way. I haven't read that script since the last time I drafted it.
You're kidding. It took me days to memorize it.
I only did this just because you wanted to be spontaneous.
Well, I memorized this whole thing because you wanted to know when.
I came out of my comfort zone for you, and now you're doing this to me?
Yeah, I am, because it was best for you. What are you talking about?
You know what? This isn't going to work out. We need to figure out some way to end this conflict.
Yeah, I'm so done with this.
I know, right?
Okay. So
Can anybody summarize what is just happening here? Actually, what is happening here, just like you said, lack of acceptance. One is saying that what I am doing is right, other is saying what I am doing is right. Nobody is accepting the truth. Then we have to work better as a team, and we have to communicate better. So anybody can, one line explain that what are the problems and how we can, solve them. Like a very simple solution, like a very day-to-day solution, not a deep solution. Can anybody tell us?
We just switch roles.
Very good point.
I think they don't have to think about individual self. It has to be a team objective that they both have to work together.
Thank you.
I think both have to accept their mistakes and compromise and move forward.
A very nice point. Thank you everyone for your answers, wonderful answers. Okay, let's present.
We need to figure this out.
Yes, absolutely. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, Twinkle. discussing earlier about teamwork and communication, seeing as this whole issue was a big miscommunication. And in terms of teamwork, that's something Tanisha and I did not enact here, as we were only focusing on ourselves and not each other, even though we were working on a team event.
So right said. So, like, for example, like one more thing that I have to conclude in this play is diversity. Our country, India, is, so strong and so, like, why we got, free from colonization? That is because of diversity. So, like, for example, look at me now. I am literally representing my school, wearing its uniform. And they both are, wearing different dresses. So the team should be very diverse. And diversity is not a weakness, it is a strength for not only a country, but also very small teams. Thank you.
But Shaurya, diversity, as you talked about, diversity in teams can lead to stronger innovative ideas, but it can also lead to potential conflicts. So how are you going to resolve that?
As I say, every coin has two sides, So when we talk about these conditions are 50-50. So I always say that, like, whenever there is a risk, there is a solution. And I think sometimes risk has to be made for the betterment of a team and the betterment of the future.
You talk about betterment of the future, but if we cannot figure out our cultural differences only, then how are we going to do that?
Just like I said, this is the example of miscommunication just right here. And we have shown you an activity, and these are the what, like, for example, like one guy is celebrating Diwali, and other guy is against it, and it is saying that like the crackers are bursting, the environmental is polluting. So what we can do is, why we cannot come to a mutual agreement that okay, culture is very good, but we also have to save the sustainability of our planet. So we have to come to a mutual agreement, and it can only be done by communication.
But Shaurya, say we went back and forth for like hours. What do we do that?
Okay. So, alright. So first of all, what we can do is, we can take a mediator, a third person who can actually, guide the team. So suppose two people are conflicting each other, and they are going each and like they are continuously going towards each other. So what we can do, a mediator can come in between, can listen to this guy, listen to that guy, and then come to a mutual agreement that okay, your points are also taken, your points are also taken, and then better solution.
Does anyone else have any potential solutions? You could just shout them out if you have them.
Have a cold water bath first.
Yes. Anything else?
Diversity is not a problem with repeated exposure.
Yes, repeated exposure is very important, especially in the modern day world, seeing that most countries have extremely diverse populations. And in the end of the day, we have to remember teamwork and communication override any differences that we experience. Because again, we are human at the end of the day, all of us, without exception.
But ma'am, when we talk about exposure, how are we going to get that exposure in today's time when there are so many problems that youth are facing, be it mental problems, financial problems, cultural barriers, societal pressures, academic pressures. There are just endless things that we are facing. How are we going to get that exposure?
It's funny thing you were mentioning, because I don't think the youth today are the best players in terms of exposure. Our exposure was limited to opening a newspaper in the morning at the best, or having a personal friend who was sitting on the bench next to you. You are open to the entire world through your media, through the amount of interactions you have with people across the globe. It's just a sense of being open and having a sense of acceptance to what's being presented to you across the table. That's all there is to it. You guys are superlatively positioned to be on the same playing field, actually. That's what I think.
Yes, ma'am, you're right. But most conflicts have either a win or a lose mindset.
You cannot have that when you're talking of a team. It's not an individual ego which is going to come out.
That brings up competitiveness then.
Not to mention, most conflict arises because of a difference. Whether that be difference of opinion, difference of perception, most conflict arises from some sort of difference. So what about the difference, like what if it's diversity? What if that's the difference? What do we do? Yeah, yes.
We need to find common purpose. And as Vivek says, purpose pulls performance. If you have common purpose, you would make it work as a team.
How would we go about doing that?
Pick your purpose, prioritize. Prioritize what you want in life. What is important, what is meaningful.
That's a very good point.
Yes, ma'am, but how are we going to strengthen our beliefs so that we have the utmost acceptance in ourselves to accept every situation?
Get exposed to such sangha. Spend more time in religion.
Having some compassion for the other person and putting yourself in the other person's shoes and thinking where that person is coming from. Maybe if you're able to do that, then you will be able to understand that person's viewpoint as opposed to just pushing your viewpoint forwards.
To put ourselves in that person's shoes, to have empathy for that person.
Yes, compassion.
Thank you.
I think the first and foremost step that you will need to take is identify within yourselves where is that conflict coming from. Is it parental conditioning? Is it societal pressure? Is it the social media that you can't lay your hands off? Because until you know where it's coming from, you're not going to be able to decondition yourselves. And just from my experience, what I've seen is youth struggle the maximum with parental conditioning. So if parents themselves are very anti-diversity and very, like, this is me, this is you, it's very hard for you to overcome. So without understanding where it's coming from, you're not going to be able to address how to get rid of it. Because each of these areas that I've mentioned have very different control over your minds.
Yes.
And over your system. So the first step would be to identify why are you the way you are.
Identifying reasons.
And then do not stop listening to Vivek.
Sure, I agree.
We'll note that down for sure.
Here's another question though. Trust is a very fragile thing, right? What do we do when that trust is broken? How do we go about handling that? So let's say Tanisha and I never did resolve our conflict, and we had another event to work on later on in the future. What would we do? We don't trust each other to handle our tasks.
Yes, because trust can change everything. Because most of the time, when conflicts arises, they always result in relationships being broken down, people not listening to each other, having competitiveness. That's why trust is very important.
There is conflict when you think about it is two. But when Azwai Vedanta, Vivekji, of course, everyone is saying, this is one of them. And there are many people. When you start learning the basics, I'm married for 50 years now. That it took me time, but because of Advait Vedanta and inculcating that, it's not very easy. But if you start at this young age, it would be good. You won't conflict because you don't feel you're different. You are inclusive and you're not separate. So for a while you will feel the competitiveness, ego, whatever word you are saying, but you are not together. You're not teamwork. But then when you reflect, as Vivekji always says, reflect. Why did this happen? What she said, what had happened? It may be happening for you from a different thought, as she's saying, your parenting, whatever. But when you feel learn Advait Vedanta, when there is two, there is conflict. When there is one, there is no conflict. Learn that from Vivek.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am. We need to collaborate with each other to bring transformative, innovative ideas to the ground.
There's something there.
Yes.
Is it possible for the audience to have a mic?
Yeah, we can do that. Yes. Would you like that?
Not me, I don't have.
Does anyone need a mic?
Anyone have anything else to add?
It's okay. I think I'm loud enough. Have you guys watched the movie On a Quest?
Yes.
In one of the scenes, there is a doormat that says, keep your slippers and ego outside. So when we enter a team meeting, I think that's a very good message. message. But if we leave our egos outside, by ego, what Swamiji meant was the sense of individuality, the sense of separation. So when you consider yourself to be separate from the other person, then there's no chance of conflict. And when we go with a mindset that we are the same team, we need to make it work, then you put your egos down and you're more open to listening to the other person's side of the story.
I think that's a very important point, because at the end of the day, when it comes to our organization and our projects, Tanisha and I are one person, essentially. The body of our organization. We're not two separate people. Yes. Unity, yes.
So I read something so beautiful the other day that said our generation is different from yours because we knew we worked on fixing things. And your generation can't do that because
of what Vivek said in the morning, you'll have too many choices. So if you'll just begin with thinking that this relationship is this relationship, I don't have any other choice. Because one thing I've realized is that you might run away from one relationship because it's not working. I guarantee you the same lesson will come in a different guise in another relationship. And all your life you'll be moving from one relationship, one team to another, never having learned your lesson. What is it that you have to compromise upon? Keeping on meeting the same thing, and punarapi jalanam, punarapi maranam in this very jalanam. So you have to make sure that you psych yourself into believing, this is in front of me, I have to work it out, no matter what happens. And when you do that, you pass that test. That particular situation won't come, it's all coming for you, it's not happening to you. So if you get that into your mind, you'll really be able to work with whatever team. Bloom where you are planted, as Guruji says. At least that's what he told me.
Choice creates chaos.
Yes, ma'am. So we need to reflect on our choices and take responsibilities for our actions.
Yes.
So one of the things that everyone needs to recognize is we are all human beings. We are not realized yet. And for that reason, we are always going to have biases. And so we're always going to tend to simplify things because biases, that's just natural human tendency. And so how do you overcome biases? You overcome biases by setting up some ground rules about culture of belonging. Getting to know and understand other cultures, other diversities. Second is create allyship. Be an ally for each other. And if you know that within the team, someone is actually doing something wrong, speak up for the person who is a minority in that situation. And that's how you create allyship, and that's how you create a culture of belonging. And then always assume positive intent. So just remember those things. The bias is always going to exist. How do you overcome the biases? By creating a culture of belonging, creating allyships, and assuming positive intent.
Okay, so one question from this side also. So we have talked about like conflicts with the resolution, all that, but I want to talk about one more thing, which is cause of conflict arising, and that is generation gap. Basically, what is happening is some generations. I'm not telling that every generation has all the good sides, every generation has all the bad sides. Every generation has equal amounts of. We are humans basically. So what I want to ask is how to minimize this generation gap and how to communicate with your elders openly so you can minimize this generation gap and focus more on your development and on the relationship which you have with your elders. Anyone would like to contribute?
What's your question?
How to minimize generation gap?
So more interaction with the parents, and parents interact more with the kids, having like family date nights, weekly or monthly, do some fun activity. Everybody puts their phone in one place, nobody has access to social media, and you're doing an interactive board game or something like that.
Thank you for your answer.
Also,
Active listening from both sides.
Hello.
Any more?
Yeah, building a trust. So you got to trust and be a friend of your parent so that you can open up. Do not hide anything from your parents, and that's the way you're gonna have open communication. So once you have that open communication and trust, there's no gap.
I think that makes a lot of sense. We're eliminating that issue in the first place. Yes, we have a question there. Oh, yes.
Communication, as they say in real estate, location. And communication need not be with an agenda. It need not be over late night. It need not be over board games. But it has to be ongoing. And the fundamental thing is, through this process, there emerges a sense of understanding. And this is not necessarily between parents and children at all. It is fundamentally between two human beings, right? So even communication on inane matters exposes the innermost person to you, and there is that sense of acceptance which comes through for the viewpoints.
Yes, for sure. So if Tanisha and I actually communicated properly, none of these issues would have ever occurred in the first place.
I have one more. I think finally giving up your ego and letting it go and accepting any mistakes or errors that you have done and approaching the whole problem with an open mind and not holding on to the past. That's also very important. Just having the intent to move forward.
Yes, statistically speaking, ego seems to be one of the most biggest things that causes conflict among others. So letting it go is one of the best things we can end up doing. Does anyone have anything else they'd like to add? Okay, I'm going to toss it over to Tanisha again.
So basically it will be a win-win solution that neither side actually initially saw, right? See, after this discussion, what we learned from you guys was such a great experience. You see, that's why we need your guidance to face these problems. And for that, United Consciousness Global Youth presents Mission Abhyuday, meaning rising and upliftment of youth. Our aim is to build a transformative platform where young people can seek guidance from mentors, where mentors can share their wisdom and organizations can collaborate with each other to create a lasting change, ensuring every youth has the support needed to succeed. Our vision is something that where no young person feels lost or unsupported. A world where knowledge, mentorship, and collaboration create endless possibilities for growth and success of young minds. Our purpose is to provide a safe space for youth to express their struggles. Our purpose is to enable mentors, professors, guidance teachers to support you in this journey we call life, and to unite organizations for a greater impact, to build our community and help young people all over the world. In this initiative, we have 3 sections. One is for youth, another one is for mentors, and the other is for organizations, where youth can connect with us with their queries, where mentors can guide the youth, and where organizations can collaborate with us. We'll connect the youth that are sharing their queries to their respective mentors, and we'll connect with organizations, collaborate with them who are already doing great things in their respective fields. In this way, we will rise the youth, uplift the youth, empower them to face these problems, to face these issues that we are facing currently, that we discussed with you right now. And we learned so much from you. See, if we learned so much from you guys, imagine what impact it would make when everyone around the world will learn this from you. That's why we urge you to connect with us, to collaborate with us, to guide us. There's a special mention to our team, Dr. Singh, Tomar, Acharya, Vivek, Gupta ji, for their expertise, for guiding us throughout this presentation, for helping us whenever we were stuck, and to Daksha, Shaurya, Siddhartha for their inputs.
Yeah, so at the end of the day, all of us have to work together to make a difference, rather than just independently. Us as the youth can identify the current problems that we face in our day-to-day lives, while collaborating with our mentors with their knowledge and expertise can help us identify solutions to these problems. In the end of the day, we're creating a better place with solutions to these problems that we face on a day-to-day basis, regardless of age. And by implementing these solutions, we are consistently and effectively helping all of those that achieve these issues.
Okay, so like what I like about Abhyuday is, first of all, when we talk about communication, like we have talked about like there is a conflict resolution between two people. But what I like to add to this, Abhyuday mission is also one thing: communication with yourself. Like I think most of the times, where the problems arise from is yourself. When you're not able to communicate with yourself, then you are not able to communicate with the world. So what is, this mission Abhyuday is not only this that you have to communicate and there is a resolution between everybody, but yourself. Do you know yourself? Do you know what you need? Do you know what are your flaws, what are your strengths? And if you know them, what will you do when you interact with another guy with same, like these features?
Thank you, Shaurya. So now we're going to go over a brief video with all of the other members from our UC Youth team that couldn't be here today. So could we play the video?
Empowerment and forcing us to take meaningful actions that foster trust, collaboration, and a collective growth for our society. My mission is to see this empowerment drive impactful change, creating a company that is rooted in shared values and vision.
If I had to pick a word to describe UC Youth, I would choose impactful. I have found that UC Youth became a source of positive change